My name is Hanae Umimura. I'm a 34-year-old housewife. I'm going to tell you the terrifying story of what happened to me and my family. My family consisted of me, my husband Masato, who is my age, and our 4-year-old daughter Yuki. The three of us were living happily. On top of that, we had some really exciting news. Our family was about to gain its 4th member. I'm pregnant!
Oh, we did it!
A sister or brother? Which do you want?
A sister! We're gonna play with our dolls together.
Yuki couldn't wait to meet her younger sister, and I believe from the bottom of my heart that we were only going to be happier. A few months later, around the time that my stomach was getting quite big, you're finally complete!
It's been a long road to get here.
Our dream home was finally finished. My husband had always wanted a lot of kids, so last year he had started building our new dream home. Of course, moving houses when I was in this state wasn't ideal, but since we had been planning it since before the pregnancy, I didn't have much of a choice. My husband worked really hard, and we moved it successfully. We were ready to welcome our new family in our new home. Right around the time we were starting to settle in, I got this message from my husband.
Have you finished unpacking everything?
Yes, finally. It's been hard to do all of this with a child in my belly.
Just be careful and don't overdo it. Make sure you're not carrying anything too heavy.
I know, it's not like it's my first time.
It was the same when Yukie was born, but I'm so excited that I can't stay still these days.
I agree. Hopefully she comes out soon.
Can't wait, but more importantly, I had something else to talk to you about.
What is it?
It's my mom. It seems like her lower back has gotten really weak. Lately, she's having difficulty living alone.
That's worrying.
So sooner rather than later, I was thinking we can live with her, but what do you think?
What? Even if we were to live with her, what room would she take?
You know the room we were going to make the audio room? I was thinking that could be Mom's room.
Are you sure? It was your dream to have a home theater.
There's not much I can do, so the rest is up to you. But what do you think?
Let me think about it. This is how I found out that my mother-in-law had hurt her lower back. Her husband had already passed, and I could only imagine how difficult it must be to live alone in that state. To be honest, we just built a new house and it was also my 3rd trimester. I couldn't help but feel like it wasn't the best timing to also take in my mother-in-law.
Are you sure? Really?
Yes, I don't want to force her into a nursing home either. So let's live together with her.
Thank you. It makes me so happy to hear you say that.
I had to think about it, but in the end, decided to move in with my mother-in-law. Luckily, it's not like I had a bad relationship with her or anything. We often see her over the Obon and New Year holidays, and I wanted to think that we got along just fine. And so, my mother-in-law moved in. I'm sorry to be a burden to you. A burden? Of course not. Welcome to the home.
Grandma, let's go to your room together.
My daughter seemed happy to live with Grandma too.
How's it going with my mom?
Good, she settled in. It seems like she's taken a liking to this house. Even though her lower back is injured, it seems like she isn't having too many problems going about her life.
I see. Well, that's good. By the way, will you be alright with my mother there? I know it's a little late to be saying this, but I don't think it'll be good for you to carry any stress.
Don't worry about that. I think we're always getting along anyway. We won't have the bride and mother-in-law drama like you see on TV.
I see. That's fine then. Really, thank you so much for accepting this.
Oh, come on now, we're family.
Anyway, if anything does happen, don't hesitate to say something. I'll do my best to support you.
I will, thank you too. But she's been a big help. In this body, I've been struggling with household chores, and I'm always sleepy. So I'm really thankful for all of her help.
I see.
Exactly as I had spoken to my husband, in reality, it was going well with my mother-in-law. She would help around the house and look after my daughter, and was a huge help for my pregnancy. However, at the same time as her arrival, a lot of strange things started to happen around me. For example, when I was walking down the hallway carrying the laundry basket, I stepped on something and nearly fell over. Luckily, I was able to hold on tight and stay standing, but what on earth is this? Wait, what? When I looked down on my feet, there was a beer bottle rolling on the floor. It was far too strange for a beer bottle to be there. I thought it could have been my daughter, but she had never been the type of kid to play with trash around the house. What is going on? On top of that, after I took my daughter to preschool, I was taking a nap in the living room when suddenly, it's so hot. Huh? Why is the air conditioner? I woke up drenched in sweat. Our living room faces the western sun, so in the middle of summer it gets blazing hot without the air conditioner on. Even then, for some reason, the air conditioner that was on before I went to sleep had been turned off. I hobbled my dizzy self over to the fridge to get some water and downed it all on one go. How dangerous! I almost got a heat stroke. There was only one other person in the house besides me. I really didn't want to think it was her, but I'm going to make tonight's dinner, so please sit down and relax. Thank you so much. I would be so grateful. My mother-in-law was set to make dinner, but what she made was seaweed rice, seaweed miso soup, simmered sea bream, and seaweed salad. It might seem like a normal meal at first glance, but during pregnancy, you're meant to avoid seaweeds and fish with high levels of mercury. So I softly mentioned it, to which she replied, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know." No, it's okay. I should have said something before, too. I couldn't say it was all just a coincidence when so many foods I was meant to avoid during pregnancy all showed up on the dinner table. And plus the air conditioner incident. My suspicions towards my mother-in-law were starting to grow. If she did have evil intentions, it could seem like she was trying to get me to miscarriage. However, she seemed to be caring for Yuki sweetly, so I can't imagine why she'd be against having another grandchild. Even if she didn't like me, it was hard to think that she would want to kill her own grandchild. I couldn't say anything despite the discomfort, and so I continued living with my mother-in-law like this. Will you be late today?
Yeah, it's looking like it'll take a little longer. You can go ahead and sleep first.
Okay, well, don't work too hard.
Hey, wait a second. I have to ask. Did something happen recently?
It's nothing. Why?
I mean, you seem on edge, and you haven't been able to sleep at night.
It's all part of pregnancy. Because of your hormones, you get easily irritated, and you sleep a lot less.
All right. I'm sure all of that's true, but really, are you sure you're not forcing yourself?
Yes, she'll be here any day now. Although when that happens, I guess I also won't be able to sleep.
It's okay. It looks like I'll be able to get a paternity leave this time.
Really?
Yeah, so I'll support you in any way and every way that I can. So if you can, just get through this.
Of course, thank you. When I hadn't even figured it out for myself, there was no way that I could speak to my husband about my suspicions against his own mother. But that also doesn't mean I had a solution. Since my husband messaged me that he was going to be late, I went ahead to the bed. My mother-in-law and my daughter were both asleep in their rooms as well. However, a few hours after falling asleep, I woke up to get some water and went downstairs when... What? A fire? I couldn't believe it. Were clouds of smoke coming up from the bottom floor. My mother-in-law woke up from my voice and came out to the hallway. What happened, making so much noise? It's an emergency! There's a fire! What? Oh my goodness! I'm going to get Yuki. Please hurry and get out of here first. And so I ran to go wake my daughter in her room. Yuki, wake up! Open your eyes! Are you okay? Say something! She wasn't on her bed, but on the floor collapsed. My daughter's room was closest to the stairs, and perhaps because her door was slightly open, a large amount of smoke had gotten it. No matter how much I shook her, she wasn't waking up. In a hurry, I grabbed all of her valuables from the living room and shoved them into my bag, and ran outside with Yuki in my arms. I called the ambulance and the fire department as fast as I could, but the fire was spreading quickly. Luckily, our lawn was large and there was plenty of space between the neighbors, so our house was the only one affected. But what would have happened if I had noticed even a few moments later? Just thinking about it raised all the hairs on my body. My daughter had inhaled enough smoke to be poisoned, but luckily we found her quickly enough that it wasn't too serious. She'll wake up eventually, the doctor said, which made us all let out a huge sigh of relief. Shortly after, my husband came running in, and he was just happy that his family was okay. I was sitting next to my daughter in the hospital when a policeman arrived. He said he wanted to hear the details, so I spoke to him, but...
And do you have any idea how the fire could have started? According to the department's investigation, it looks like it started in the living room.
The living room? Not the kitchen?
Yes.
In our house, the dining room kitchen and the living room were separate, so there was absolutely no reason for a fire to start in the living room.
So to be honest, the most common reason is something like cigarettes that weren't properly put out.
My husband smokes, but he wasn't home all day, so it couldn't be him. However, my silent mother-in-law suddenly opened her mouth. Speaking of cigarettes, I'm pretty sure you used to smoke, right, Miss Honey? Sure, in fact, I used to smoke, but when I became pregnant with Yuki, I quit and haven't smoked since. But my mother-in-law, on top of that, said, It seems like you had a lot of built-up stress recently, so it's only natural that you would have a craving. So you just speak honestly. I won't be mad at my son either. For some reason, she started acting like I was the reason for the fire. Of course I denied it, but the policeman was shooting laser beams of suspicion at me. Was my mother-in-law trying to take me down? That was the moment that my doubt turned into certainty. At that moment, my daughter slowly opened her eyes.
Huh? Mom, where are we?
Yuki! Oh, thank goodness! My daughter was awake. The conversation stopped for a moment as she woke up, but she looked around confused and in a daze. Her eyes met my mother-in-law's when suddenly,
Oh, Grandma, you know you're not supposed to smoke in the living room. You have to smoke outside.
What? What are you saying?
Little girl, what do you mean?
To my daughter's explosive remarks, the policeman was quick to question her. According to Yuki, she got thirsty in the middle of the night and went down to drink water in the kitchen. When she was going back up to her room, she saw a dim light in the living room and went closer. When she peeked in, she saw her grandma lighting a cigarette. She She was going to say something, but she was so sleepy, so figured it could wait till tomorrow and went back to her room.
What does this mean, Mom? You never used to smoke until now.
No, that's not it. It's just that. She tried to come up with an excuse, but she must have realized it was pointless and her expression changed. What else am I to do when you marry a woman like this? I thought if there was a fire because of her, then maybe your marriage would also finally burn down.
What are you saying?
Anyway, this is a hospital. So let's continue this conversation at the police station. Is that alright?
Yes.
And just like that, my mother-in-law was taken in by the police. I heard about the results of their questioning, and apparently she couldn't stand me at all. It wasn't specifically about me, but more so her love for her son was overpowering. The reason she was trying to get me to miscarriage was also to try to break up our marriage, but since her attempts were unsuccessful, she went for the last resort. Apparently, she just wanted to cause a little burn, but the flame spread more quickly than she thought, and it turned into a huge fire. The madness of a woman who couldn't let go of her child created this miserable situation. Obviously, neither my husband nor I could forgive her, and I have no intention of having any contact with her again. Currently, we're renting an apartment. Since this was technically arson, we were able to claim it under our insurance. On top of that, we're having her pay compensation for the damages. If she doesn't pay, we told her we would take her to court. My mother-in-law gathered all of her savings and was ordered to pay us $100,000. My husband and I discussed it, and since it was a really great piece of land after all, we decided to rebuild our house there. We would be able to rebuild without any additional expenses, which was one big relief. Also, we had some furniture that was saved in the fire, so we decided to rent a storage unit for the time being. What was burnt down was mainly the first floor kitchen and dining table, including almost all of our household electronics, so we did have to repurchase all of those.
Well, we might as well take advantage of this and get an extra large TV and a really good refrigerator and purchase everything brand new, especially since we have the budget.
My husband was so positive that it was easy to not get depressed, but because of all of the added up stress, I was hospitalized in case of a premature birth. My own mother suggested that she could look after Yuki, so we had her taken in by my parents, and Masato was running back and forth between their house and our apartment. Masato was honestly a really busy person, so I was saved by his dedication. My mother-in-law, in the meantime, was found guilty of arson and attempted murder, and would be serving a prison sentence as a result. Since she knew where we lived and it would be dangerous for her to come, so after her release, Masato spoke to her relatives to make sure that she was never allowed to come to us alone, and we put her into a nursing home far, far away. In case she would try to escape from the home, our relatives would check in on her from time to time and report back to us. I was so relieved to know that I was safe from her evil. A little while later...
Hanae? You gave birth?
Yes, a healthy baby girl!
Thank goodness, thank goodness! Thank you for everything, Hanae!
I was able to deliver a healthy baby girl. We decided to name her Aki. Yuki was also thrilled about the birth of her new sister. We lived in the apartment for 6 more months until we were finally able to go back to our new dream home.
Wow, the house feels even bigger than it did before. The TV's so big too.
Isn't it? And the room that Grandma was in before? That's going to be our home theater. Let's watch tons of movies in there.
Wow, I can't wait. Aki, I bet you're excited too, right?
When she gets a little bigger, we can all watch them together.
I'm so excited.
Yuki doesn't know what happened with her grandma. What she did know was that Grandma was the one who smoked a cigarette in the living room and burned down the house, and that after doing such a bad thing, she's living far off in the suburbs now. To which Yuki said,
That's what you get for doing a bad thing. I hope she can make some friends in her new place.
I got a little teary-eyed at her kindness. On top of that, I asked Masato if he ever felt that his mom was doting on him.
No, I just thought we were a happy family. Honestly, it was to the point where I truly couldn't believe what I was hearing in the hospital. But when I read the letter from her later, it really sent chills down my spine.
Masato said as he handed me the letter.
I wanted to wait until after you gave birth to show you this. I couldn't risk the amount of stress it might cause you.
I was wondering what she could have written as I opened the letter with shaking hands. Dear Masato, I am so truly sorry for burning down your house because of my thoughtless actions. But somewhere in my heart, I felt glad that it burned down. A house that you built to live in with a woman other than me, to me that became the object of my hatred. Masato, you're all I have, now and forever. I never talked to you about this, but your father was having an affair. We never got a divorce, but our marriage was completely destroyed, and his mistress ended up caring for him until his death. But at least his assets that he left behind were all given to me. I used that to pay you for the damages caused. The reason I never divorced him was so that I could raise you alone in peace. The only person who was able to love me and heal me when I was so lonely was you, Masato.
Eventually, I fell in love with you as a man. Even if society would never approve of it, I thought it would be okay as long as I could be next to you forever. Instead, you betrayed me by marrying that woman. That wasn't your fault, though. It was that woman who seduced you who was to blame. I was looking for an opportunity to make you divorce her and come back to me. But it seems as though the world just wants to tear us apart. I'll be waiting in this far-off land for the day that you open your eyes and come back for me. Sincerely, the one who loves you, Kyoko.
Oh, wow.
You know, I never knew about my dad's affair, but I never would have thought that she was this crazy.
I'm amazed you were able to take in this horrific letter alone. Let's go burn this in the yard immediately. I don't want to leave it here in this house. Let's please get rid of it as soon as possible.
Yeah, let's.
There were some parts of her life that I wanted to sympathize, but having romantic feelings for her own son was simply unacceptable. And on top of that, to burn a house and even attempt murder. Masato will never return to her, nor will she ever see him again. We put a trash can outside and burned her letter. Watching the smoke dance into the air, my husband muttered,
I guess this is my mother's funeral. With this, my mother is dead to me.
Yes, I think that's best. 15 years later, we received the news that she took her last breath in the nursing home, but we certainly didn't attend the funeral. And that's because my mother-in-law had already died to us that day. They say no blood, no tears, but I had no compassion for the person who tried to kill me. To you all as well, even if someone says it's terrible, stay true to your beliefs and always trust your gut.